Okumura is a dedicated otaku who runs a manga club mainly to enjoy his favorite 2D waifu Lilio. But one day, a girl named Risa walks in and asks to join the club. Okumura, traumatized by past experiences, wonders why a girl would want to join a club dedicated to jock and mommy milkers. He then decides that he needs to find a way to get rid of her. Soon, his chance comes when the girl gets excited by the dolls on the shelf. He thinks that showing her the strippable figurines will send the message, but to his surprise, Risa criticizes the color of their panties, suggesting a better alternative. This leaves Okumura torn between kicking her out and seeing her as a kindred spirit. But Risa apologizes for her weirdness and for judging his taste. However, Okumura is curious how a girl could be interested in such things. She then explains that she's always been a bit unusual and shy. Okumura encourages her love for Lilio, but Risa soon claims that no one loves the fictional character more than she does. Hearing this, Okumura scoffs and Risa challenges him, explaining that she often imagines herself as Lilio because no boys are interested in her. Okumura doesn't believe that he has competition, but suddenly Risa notices a movie on the screen and begins to fangirl over it. Forgetting that he was supposed to kick her out, they ended up watching scenes from one of Lilio's movies, screaming with excitement together. Soon, Okumura realizes that she's the perfect Lilio fan for the club, but her being a 3D girl is a deal-breaker for him. Risa then blushes and asks Okumura for a favor, revealing she has a weird hobby she's never shared with anyone. However, Okumura reassures her with some corny anime lines which he learned from his senpai. Feeling encouraged, Risa then reveals her cosplay collection and her dream of making cosrooms. Okumura is shocked by this, but Risa insists that he shouldn't judge his own kind. She explains that her obsession started as a kid, but she kept it secret until she saw other girls at events and realized it was okay. Now she proudly embraces her cosplay kink and hopes to make a costume for Lilio. Okumura then apologizes for judging and asks how he can help. Upon hearing this, Risa asks if he'll take pictures of her in cosplay for the club. But Okumura questions why he has to do this, and Risa explains she wouldn't trust a stranger and feels safer with someone who shares her passion for Lilio. Grateful for his understanding, Risa insists it must be the heavenly fate that put them together and asks if she can join the club. Initially, Okumura remembers that it's been an all-male club so far, but agrees for the sake of the culture. Risa is thrilled, and Okumura assures her he's only into 2D girls who can't talk back, so he won't be affected by her cosplay. However, Risa seems to take that as a challenge and starts taking off her skirt, catching Okumura off guard. He then blames Risa for assaulting his eyes, but she innocently explains that she just wants to show off one of her costumes. The otaku virgin then quickly covers the windows with a board so no one else gets a peek. While he panics, Risa calmly puts on her costume, does her makeup, fixes her hair, and steps forward for the reveal. But when Okumura turns around, he can't believe his eyes, as it felt like seeing a real-life Lilio. He even gets a nosebleed when she says Lilio's catchphrase. He manages to get back up, but he's definitely not okay, stunned by how much she resembles Lilio. As he's still recovering, Risa shows him the fresh panties she chose for the costume and asks his opinion, turning around to reveal her big jacket, causing Okumura's virgin soul to leave his body. Later, Okumura wakes up with his head on Risa's lap, who has been worried sick. She then mentions that she will begin her debut photo shoot the next day, causing Okumura to turn into a blushing mess once again. The next morning, he enters crisis mode, wondering if he's falling in love with a real girl after swearing loyalty to his favorite manga page. Suddenly, Risa walks in and finds him watching a rare episode she's never seen. She then asks him to give her the rundown, and Okumura eagerly geeks out. But when she asks how he knows so much, he offers to show her his research methods. They soon grab some gamepads and start gaming, with Okumura thinking that he has nothing to worry about. Suddenly, Risa asks to pause the game, stopping on a part where Lilio's treasure is in full view. Okumura wonders if she's even more down bad than he is, but she pulls out her phone to take pictures so her cosplay can be as realistic as possible. Her dedication is paying off, as Okumura almost loses it at the sight of her dedication. At that moment, Risa decides to get into character and starts stripping on the spot. Okumura quickly grabs the board while trying to convince himself he's simply impressed by her dedication. He then turns around to see her new one-piece costume and agrees to take photos of her. After setting up a plain backdrop, Risa starts posing, and Okumura immediately recognizes the poses from the manga, which makes him tear up. She changes into another outfit, and although Okumura has no idea what he's doing, he's actually having a lot of fun. However, when Risa looks at the pictures, she's happy with the results and glad her love for Lilio has come through. While on the other hand, Okumura still finds it surreal that she loves Lilio this much. She then tells him that she's ready to change back, so Okumura tries to give her some space until she informs him that her zipper is stuck and she needs his help to undress. He quickly tugs at the zipper and looks away before catching a glimpse of her melons. However, fate intervenes, causing them to trip and fall into his arms. She then thanks him for catching her, but points out that he also caught something else. Hearing this, Okumura almost had a heart attack, swearing it was an accident. But Risa says it's okay and asks him for some privacy to change, so he grabs his bag and runs from the crime scene. Once she changes back, she turns red and wonders why her heart is beating so fast, then runs home quickly to deal with whatever feelings she might have caught from him. The next day, the principal gets a surprise enrollment from a famous model who seems to have a thing against manga and Okumura's face. When she heads to class, all the boys become raging simps, drooling over her perfect body, while the rest of the girls become NPCs. However, Mikuri asks the losers if they have a manga club, and one guy thinks he's about to get lucky until she says that she hates manga. Meanwhile, Okumura looks like a steaming pile of regret as he remembers the moment he touched heaven and blames fate for his turmoil. He then heads for the club, hoping Risa isn't there, but the pink-haired lunatic is already waiting for him. There they share an awkward moment before Okumura brings up all the commotion of that morning. Risa then informs him that a new student joined their class that day, and she happens to be a famous model who's really cute. Okumura is surprised that Risa would say that until she starts geeking out over how perfect the model would be as Liliel's best friend. Just then, Risa pulls out an old camera, which Okumura recognizes as the one his senpai used to take pictures of the club's regular activities. However, Risa notices Okumura looking fondly at the pictures and apologizes for forcing him to go along with her demands. She then asks what he wants to do instead. But surprisingly, Okumura suggests taking pictures of her cosplay, as he honestly found it quite fun the last time. This caused her to cry rivers from his compliment, overjoyed to have his consent, and began to throw off her clothes for their first round of photos. Suddenly, Risa remembered that she couldn't pack her cosplay since the teachers were searching all the bags earlier, so she comes up with another idea and drags Okumura to an empty classroom. There, Risa suggests that he take practice shots of her in her uniform. But as sets up the camera, Okumura wonders why he's getting worked up since she's not Liliel. They soon start the photo shoot, but when Risa looks at the photos, she becomes lifeless, thinking she looks ugly. Okumura then reassures her, thinking she's just a normal amount of ugly, but Risa explains she wants to look like Liliel and apologizes for not being 2D. Suddenly, she has a brilliant idea to pretend her uniform is part of the cosplay. She takes off her glasses, shortens her skirt, and adds a bit of makeup until she looks like Sakura's level of attractive. Okumura wonders if he has a thing for useless girls, but tries to focus on his devotion to Liliel. However, Risa thinks her pose is too boring and tries to amp it up by striking more provocative poses. Not long after, her glasses fall down and she bends to grab them, seeing a perfect aerial view. Okumura starts snapping away. But Risa accidentally hits her head on the way up and ends up falling onto Okumura again, who's never experienced anything like this before, causing him to pass out from too much excitement. Afterward, Risa looks at the pictures and blushes when she realizes she wasn't wearing cosplay underwear. She quickly demands he delete all her pictures. But suddenly, an announcement calls Risa to the faculty office and she runs out to attend to it, while Okumura decides to keep some of the pictures for the memories he'll be needing for his little friend every night. Meanwhile, all the boys crowd around Mikari as she enters the club building, trying to get her attention. But another girl accidentally spills water on her and an embarrassed Mikari runs off to be alone. Tired of being alone, Okumura hears the commotion outside and goes to check it out. However, Mikari stumbles into the manga club and Okumura recognizes her from his childhood. She leaps into his arms, remembering how 5 years ago she had asked Okumura if he had a crush on anyone, and the tiny dumbass had proclaimed his love for Liliel because she could never do him dirty. In the present, the boys continue to search the hallways for her, so Okumura closes the door and blocks the window to escape being branded a traitor. He then asks her why she suddenly hugged him, and she says she was hoping to make him blush. But Okumura asks Mikari why she's wet. However, she plays it off and asks if she can dry her clothes there. While Okumura buries his head in his manga, she starts taking off every layer of her clothes. He then tells her to stop messing around and keep her underwear on, but when she tells him he can look, he catches a glimpse of her chest and panics. She soon lies down on the couch hoping to take a nap and asks if he would like to join her. But Mikari enjoys teasing the helpless loser and asks if he thinks she's cute. When he says she's always been cute, she blushes and insists she's even cuter now as a famous model. Surprised, Okumura drops his Liliel manga and slips on it, ending up right on top of her. She holds him tight while he tries to leave, giving him a nightmare situation. But she asks to stay in that position just a little while longer. However, Okumura starts taking off his jacket, making Mikari rethink her actions since she's not ready to go that far. He simply covers her up so she doesn't catch a cold, begging his Liliel manga for forgiveness. Feeling rejected, Mikari puts her clothes back on and asks if he has a crush on anyone. Though the first person he thinks of is Riza, he claims he'll never cheat on Lilial, convincing himself that Riza only came to mind because of her cosplay. Mikari soon grabs her bag, realizing he's still the same, and tells him she hates him. Later, she hangs out on the rooftop, wondering why she doesn't just tell him that she likes him. She then remembers how she first got scouted as a model, thinking Okumura would finally like her if everyone else did too. Her manager even asked why she had a crush on such a bottom feeder when she could have anyone she wanted. She then remembered how Okumura protected her from bullies who made fun of her hair. Because of this, she got into his favorite manga and styled her hair to look like Lilial's. She then returned to the park and tried to get him to play with her, but he wasn't interested until she mentioned the manga. However, the rest of the boys started swooning over her at a young age, but Okumura was the only one who never paid her attention, which is why she fell in love with him. It was then when she decided that she couldn't betray him like other 3D girls, aiming to become an angel for him, working hard so he'd finally notice her. Mikari can't believe she's no better than the drooling simps that chase after her, except she's chasing a miserable loner who might marry a cardboard cutout. Suddenly, she notices the manga club from the roof and sees a girl walk up to Okumura. Inside the club, Risa starts her routine of stripping, while Okumura blocks the windows, sending Mikari running down to investigate. But when she arrives, she tears up seeing Okumura with a 3D girl and calls him a liar and a cheat. However, Risa walks up to her and asks if she joined her cosplay, shocking Mikari. This then concludes the 4th episode's recap of this anime. If you enjoyed this video and want more of it, go ahead and hit that like button down below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you everyone for helping us in reaching 5,000 subscribers. Let's continue to grow this community and help us reach a new goal of 10,000 subscribers.